Right.
Right.
So let's start with probably one of the most triggering words for me, slimming world.
Ooh.
So I mean, I'll start with my experience with Slimming World, which was had to pay for it, didn't want to do it, but still, like, I was surrounded by people doing it, and TV ads and radio ads all about Slimming World. People were, losing weight apparently, and I mean, I was in my teens at this point, but never occurred to me that it was like, I thought maybe it just won't work for me, and I thought I was kind of like the only one that I wouldn't have weight loss from it. So luckily I never jumped on the bandwagon, but I know a lot of people have and have switched to keto because there's been some social media shares recently on it, but I'd love to hear your guys' view on Slimming World.
How old were you when you got into it, when you started Slimming World?
I mean, I never ended up like jumping on the bandwagon, but I was because I was surrounded with this idea, and vividly, my food tech teacher was on Slimming World and had told me that I should be doing it. I mean, I'm like 14 at this point. And she's like, oh, you can eat all the potatoes, all the pasta you want, but you can't eat this and this, but I eat cottage cheese for lunch. And I'm like, gross, as a 14-year-old. And yeah, I mean, that's my main experience, is like literally being suggested to it. And it's the basis of basically every single diet that you've ever been promoted in your life. And I know that some people can lose weight from it, but I feel like those people are not insulin resistant, and they don't have hormonal issues, and they're probably only looking to lose like 10 pounds, not hundreds of.
I feel like, for me personally, I think Slimming World doesn't take into account like every person's body type. Like, I've never actually done it, but every time I went to the doctors and I was like, I need to lose weight, help me, they're just literally like, time to do Slimming World, or they'd just offer to pay for Slimming World for me. But I never really wanted to go down that route because I did my own research on it, and although it's brilliant and I can like recognize that so many people have done well in it, and I think that that's great for them, for me personally it just wouldn't work because, like, as you say, the insulin resistance. But I also don't like how I think it's Slimming World where it's like you can have unlimited amount of like certain foods, like on some days you can have like as much pasta or as much rice or potatoes you want, but that's not going to be mindful of calories. Like, I don't know, that's just kind of like how
I think it's really difficult with like binge eating tendencies as well, because imagine you're surrounded by like carbs, and it's just going to give you like a massive like high, you're going to be so euphoric, and then as soon as that like comes crashing down, what are you going to do? You're just going to be hungry again, but also have eaten like 1,000 calories just in like potatoes.
Yeah, so I've never done it either, and like the only things that I've really seen and like got experiences from are people that I followed on Instagram, because like when I first started I was just following anybody that was kind of on like a either fitness journey or weight loss journey. And what I found with it, like, men seem to do the best on it. I don't know if you've noticed that, but like I've always found that men tend to lose the most weight on it. And I think as well, and like this isn't meant to sound judgmental and not to categorize everyone, but I think for people that it works for, I think there must be almost zero control in their diet and their eating habits. So I think it works in a sense that, it brings some control, and it does it in a way that tries to be, the least controlling, if that makes sense, like the least hands-on. You don't have to think about it too much. It's just this equals this, and you can only have so many of these. So I think it kind of works in that sense, but like you say, I don't think it's a successful diet. I don't think it educates people well. So I think there's the two biggest shams for me are how they determine what the sin values of products are and how they can just change them overnight. And secondly, that people are told that exercise makes them put on weight. Like that to me is just so backwards. And sorry, there's a third one as well, is like, it's just the obsession with the scales.
Yeah.
Like the amount of people that I see that are just so obsessed with this weekly weigh-in, and if they go up, like they're so disappointed. And it's like it just really kind of, I think that's where the bad body image starts to come in, because people will think, oh, my scale's gone up, my weight's gone up, but you know what I mean? Like I just think I think it's great in some respects, and like you say, for the few people it really works, but I think it can be quite dangerous for people.
I think you can definitely get obsessed as well with, I mean, we've had stories of people that were throwing up before like weigh-ins, that they were like dehydrating themselves. I know that there is like a video that's been shared around about Slimming World, and like people like running in like bin bags. I mean, I haven't heard of this stuff since, you know, like honestly, like since I was a child, like but if it's teaching people to do that, then it's not really a good lifestyle, because if you're so obsessed with that number but not body composition, you could be eating like 500 calories a day, let's say, and be losing weight, but you're also losing muscle, and you're not gaining any muscle, and your TDEE will just go down, because the less muscle that you have, the less calories that you need, and the less active you are, the less calories you're going to need. So it's just a vicious cycle of just being completely obsessed with numbers.
Yeah, it doesn't really sit right with me. But I'm not quite sure, because as you were saying, Anna, like how they can just change things overnight. I'm not quite sure if it's like this now, but I remember at one point I used to know someone who did Slimming World, and in the evenings they were like eating curly whirlies, so I was like, I've got to get my sins in, and they've got to eat their sins in the day. I don't know if it's like that now, but it was like they had to eat something that was like sugary to get their sins in, and I just never understood that, and like why they had to eat it in like so late in the evening to get it in the day.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
That's like one of the things that I find as well is like the consultants, I don't think they're like they're not formally trained. I think they go through like a Slimming World training, but there's no like real nutritional qualification. I mean, like, hold my hands up if that's not the case, but I just feel like the information that I've heard people get from these groups is just so misinformed. It's almost it's just crazy. Like, for a place that is meant to be trying to help people, you know, change their life and be for the better, I don't think that's the actual aim. I think the aim is just to, you know, get people to lose weight, instead of the actual goal, which is let's change your lifestyle and let's make good lifestyle habits, and as a result we'll lose weight. Like, the focus is completely on the wrong part.
Yeah. And I mean, I've heard of people getting really judged when their scales haven't moved, and this whole system of earning certificates and earning like first place in, like, what is it, like Slimmer of the Week, Slimmer of the Month, like why would you put people through, especially when, I mean, you could have like a 400-pound person that's losing weight on Slimming World, because you will, and until a certain point, and they're going to be Slimmer of the Week every time, but you can't compare yourself to that, because you might be like 170 pounds and just trying to lose a little bit of weight.
Yeah, and I feel like if anyone's joining Slimming World, obviously everyone wants to lose weight, and I feel like if you're, you know, from personal experience being bigger, I had a real bad problem mindset when I first started out in comparing myself to other people, and if I was going to a group like that and going for weekly weigh-ins, I would still feel like I was in that mindset of comparing myself to other people. But yeah, I can you know, be really happy for people that it's done well for them, but I just wouldn't really see personally for me how it would help my mindset at all. As well, I feel like similar with Weight Watchers, their businesses as well, like I feel like that's just like a weight loss business, so it's kind of like designed to work in a certain way. It's not like a completely natural diet that's like body specific, if that makes any sense.
This one was really interesting, and I can't remember where I heard it. I think it was Jane Smith, And coming back to, the sin values and changing overnight. So I think it was either the Richmond sausage was one example and the Muller yogurt. So they were sin free or very low sin. All of a sudden, Slimming World bring out their own version of a Muller Light and their own version of a sausage. Oh, it was Porky Light, sorry, not a Richmond sausage. And all of a sudden, both Porky's and Muller Light are sinful. Just overnight, they're full of fat, and they've changed. So that was like the one thing that tweaked me, because obviously, like, you see everything in a business perspective. And it's the same with getting people in a group. Everyone's forming a club and everyone wants to keep going because it's camaraderie. It's all designed in such a way to get people together and to keep spending money.
Like, at the end of the day, us doing this diet is not gaining anyone money. Like, well, we're not going to a club. Like, we might, be talking over Instagram a little, have our own support systems, but we're not going out and buying those, the exogenous ketones, for instance. Like, we're not going out and buying those because that doesn't have to be a part of your diet. And to have something that is so business focused, I understand, like, it's meant to be like a win-win, but when you've got someone that's really vulnerable because they want to lose the weight and they think that your products are going to be the only way to do it, like, you can't just be swapping and changing the rules. Like, that doesn't help anyone.
It just completely confuses people, doesn't it? Like, people don't know where they stand, and you come away from Slimming World and you think, oh, I'm just going to do it myself. It's like, what should I eat, what shouldn't I eat? But I mean, like, the amount of people that I've seen that have come away from Slimming World and are just in a worse position than when they started is really sad.
Yeah, I feel like, going back to like the previous episode as well, like, calorie deficit is just it's just not understood properly. Like, it is so much simpler than it seems, and so many people don't want to do it because they think that it's so restricting having to like count your calories. But like with Slimming World, you've got to count your sins, you've got to, you still got to do all of those things. But with a calorie deficit, you can literally apps make it so easy. You can just scan something and there you go. And I feel like doing that and being mindful of how many calories you're consuming, just doing sort of like a natural diet rather than like buying a diet plan through a business, personally, I just think it helps your mindset to understand what you're putting in your body more.
Yeah, I agree. And I think one of the things to mention here as well is, like, people like us, we've obviously like done a few different diets or whatever, try to lose weight, and we're all come from a place where we want to do it. Like, we want to do it and we're determined to do it. Whereas I feel that places like Slimming World, because like you say, Shannon, like, counting calories isn't that difficult. And I was just thinking then, like, wouldn't it be awesome just to have a platform to be able to empower people, just to say this is how easy it is. But then when I think, like, there are so many places, like, we all figure it out. There's so many places to get this information already, but people just either choose not to do it, or are either too lazy, or just think it's too much effort, which are kind of the same thing anyway. And I think that's where Slimming World and these other places, I think that's where they come in. And I think that's the target, that, like, the market they're trying to penetrate, like people that just want to feel like it's easy. Because I think definitely having, like, you have this many value, and even though I know that the system doesn't make sense, I think having this amount of value, this amount of this limit, and this is how much each thing is worth, and you're only allowed that many things, I think it's meant to be an easy way. It's meant to psychologically be easy.
Yeah, I can see how it can appeal. Yeah,
I think
all just
that's where the difference is. Because, like, this, I think as soon as people, and I spoke with like Ashley about this, and it's like, losing weight, actually, when it comes down to it, it's such an easy thing to do. And I don't know, like, with either of you, but like, I really struggled at the start, because it was always like, you try it, but then what I realized, like, I wasn't properly in my mindset. But as soon as, like, something twigged, it worked. And I think
100%.
that's the key to, like, trying to get through to these people, because I think they want to do it, but they're not properly invested. And that might come down to, like you were saying at the start, Gia, that, like, what is it, that decision bank?
Yeah, decision fatigue. Yeah.
Yeah, so they may just have so much going on already that it's just too difficult for them to do. So I think there's like a really interesting piece there. That would be really interesting to like figure out what is it with these people.
I mean, the thing is as well, like you're not really having that many whole foods, because all of these fat-free stuff are all pre-packaged. So if you're going off of that, like, one, how much plastic, just putting that out there, but also like how much are people actually spending on Slimming World? I know that carbs are cheaper than, you know, fresh produce and whatever, but even so, like like
Yeah,
people must be, yeah, people must be spending a lot
but
on these
saying
like
that
marketers.
though, like I've saved so much money like going low carb. Like even though I eat fresh, I'll do like a weekly food shop and I'll plan out what I eat, but then I'll just top off my fresh fruit and veg like once a week. But everyone keeps like messaging me as well. I get loads of messages saying how expensive really is it to do a keto diet. Like I feel like I'm just gonna not be able to afford it, and I'm like, don't ever think that you can't afford just like fresh food, because I'm not eating takeaways anymore, and I'm not overeating. Like I've just saved so much money just like eating fresh. Like it's not expensive.
And also, like, I know Keto Connect have done really good videos on how to eat like affordably, where they're literally buying like a massive thing of mince, eggs, and loving it, because, you know, you can literally separate stuff out so easily. And I think they did it for like $25 or something. I mean, yeah, you can't say that it is, obviously, like, what I'm talking about more is like fully like fresh produce and that kind of stuff, but rather with the keto diet, like you are eating smaller portions anyway.
Yeah, speaking with Lauren the other day about this, because this was off the back of that video around like poverty and you know, what's cheaper, like junk food is cheaper. And I think one of the misconceptions is that a pizza on offer for like £1, £1.50 versus a kilogram of like chicken breasts for £4. Like when you look at the two, you think, oh well, the pizza's cheaper, I'm just going to get that. Whereas in actual fact, if you break it down, you've got maybe 4 or 5 chicken breasts that will easily last a good few meals, especially if you pack it full of, you know, veg, which isn't expensive anyway. So I think there's a definite like misconception there.
Definitely. Like when I cook my meals, I do that geeky thing where I like work out exactly how much my meals cost till I cook meals on. But like cooking like a spag bowl sauce or something, like once you've bought all the ingredients separately, it may seem more, but actually like per portion, once you've worked it out, it was like under £1 per person to like have a fresh meal. And that's got to be so much better for you than having just like frozen food.
100%.
Definitely. But I mean, you know, especially with the Slim World diet, like where you've got, I mean, you're trying to like fill up on carbs basically, but then all of these like treat things you're having to buy separately, because otherwise it's going to be like all your sins for the day, and it's just probably not worth it for them. Like they probably try it for like a couple of months, obviously like people that don't have as much success, and then they're just like, well, what's the point, because you're still having to buy all of this stuff extra, because like a full thing of cheese, like when you look at the calories versus calories on these fat-free things compared to the full fat, they're the same price, but you're getting half the calories with this one, whereas you can eat half as much if you want that amount of calories.
Yeah,
I've like spoken to a few people before as well who have done like Slimming World or Weight Watchers or something like that, and they've always gone, oh, I always feel really, really hungry, and they've had their sins for the day and that's it, they can't eat anymore, like, and they don't want to eat any more free foods, and that's it, they're hungry and they can't eat anything else. Whereas like for me on a low carb or keto diet, I don't really ever get that hungry. Like I eat my set meal times, but I never get that like I'm absolutely starved and feeding. And I think that's why the diets work so well for me, because I'm never like, I need to eat.
Yeah, get hungry.
Yeah.
And I find as well, like a lot of plates that I see a sea of beige, and that might just be again because of the people that I follow, and not everydy's going to.
I mean, I did send like 3 into the group chat, and I was like, sad.
It's sad food. Nobody likes that food. But one of the things that I find as well, and I mean, I know with like every day when everybody loses weight, like, you know, there can be relapse and we can gain weight again. But I always find with Slimming World, it seems to be the majority. Like, I have not really seen anybody that's got to their goal weight and maintained. And it's always a case of, I've hit my goal, and then there's like a big celebration, and then the celebration gets out of hand, and then it's like they go through the whole process again. So it's almost like a continuous cycle of this. I've got to get to that number that I've set, and it might not even be a realistic number for some people as well. So that's also really interesting, like, because everything's based on a goal weight. And I think it was Kaz that said it in her post earlier when she was saying, like, she just wants to reset, she's going to look to lose £10, was it 10-20 pound, then see if she doesn't have a goal weight. And I think that's just like the best mentality. Whereas imagine saying to someone, like, I could say I want to get to 75 kilograms, that's my goal weight. That's like 25 kilograms away. Like, in my head that might seem like the perfect number, or that might have been the number that I remember myself looking like, but actually now it might not be the case, because like we say, we come into body composition, all these different things. Like, I think at 75 kilograms now I would just look like anorexic. It just wouldn't work.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but my goal weight as a teenager was like 120 pounds, because that's what I saw everywhere. Like, every American girl was 120 pounds, so why couldn't I be?
Yeah, like, I looked at I was talking to Lauren about BMI. We hate BMI so much. So I looked into it, and it was like, for a healthy weight for me, it was somewhere between 7.5 stone and 9.5 stone. If I was 7.5 stone, I would be so ill. Like, I'd just be so ill. It's just not right. But again, they just don't take into account, like, they just look at your height and your age. That's it. Like, they don't take into account like your bone density, like your muscle, like.
I mean, I have a large frame anyway, and so to be given, like, and to be looking at BMI from literally like the age of 12, it's so unhealthy, because you literally think that you have to be that way. And I know that it's like a measure and it's like percentiles of for the NHS, but you can't be putting that out there and expect people to, one, understand it properly, because it doesn't make any sense, and two, to be able to follow it in a way that is healthy and sustainable.
Yeah, well, they came out and said not that long ago that it is actually complete and utter nonsense. Like, professionals have said it's complete and utter nonsense, but I think they you know, use it as, because it's, you know, it's kind of like a rough guideline. But yeah, people, I mean, like, look at your rugby players, for example. I mean, they are always going to be classed as obese or morbidly obese, but look at the muscle mass on them.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm interested to see what my weight is, and I've just picked the worst calculator because it's just sending me round in circles. Really curious now.
I was gonna say, I do feel like focusing on numbers is just like, I don't think that that's all like the best way to go about weight loss, is just focusing on a number. I just feel like focusing on like smaller victories within yourself, and like how your clothes fit and how you feel, can measure so much more than just what the scales say. Because the scales are, like, even for me now, like, they still go up and down every single week. Like, I maintain the weight I am, but I may not maintain the scales, like what the scales say, because they'll always fluctuate. But even if the scales go up, I can still shrink in size and my jeans can get smaller. And that's what these diets don't take into account, like Slimming World. They don't take into account like exercising and like gaining muscle. They just don't take it into account.
Yeah, this one, like, I experienced personally. So when I first lost weight and I got to like 99 kilograms, which is where I'm about now, like, I was a lot more overweight. Like, I can dig out a photo of me at 99 kilograms before, whereas me at 99 kilograms now is almost me at like 90 kilograms before. And it's just because, like, before we went into lockdown, I was just volume training. So like my body composition is like completely changed, but I don't look like I did at my initial 99 kilograms. It just goes to show like what a difference. And I might do that as opposed to show like 99 kilograms before and kilograms after.
That reminds me, actually, I think it was you actually, Anna, that someone posted on their stories the other day, and it was a picture of all these different women, and they were just wearing white, and they all weighed the exact same, but they all looked so different. And it's because
So my healthy weight range is 62 kilograms. I think my leg weighs that. 3.7 kilograms. Cool. I'm going to be anorexic for the NHS.
What Lucozade is that you're drinking?
Lucozade Zero. This is probably one of the nicest. It's just the nicest Lucozade. It just tastes like Lucozade Orange, but it's got barely anything in
It's
it.
my favourite. I think it was Lucozade Orange. Tom got it for me the other day because I was like, I just need something. So I sent him out to the garage. And he came back with like a pink lemonade one, and I was like, "Oh my god, I love the pink lemonade one."
I love the pink lemonade.
Yeah,
Honestly,
so good.
Best mixer with vodka. But yeah, there's barely anything in it. Like when that came out and the pink lemonade, I was like, oh, heaven.
So good. I feel like I need to mix the pink lemonade one with gin or something, but like after last night, I just can't
You can't even look at gin.
I went downstairs this morning and I smelled the kitchen and I was like, no, I'm not going there for a while.
Yeah, just an FYI to everyone that Shannon is hungover. So
yeah, quite badly.
Not just feeling sick for no reason.
24 hours after and we're still in the zone, right?
I kind of forgot that we were recording a podcast for a second because we were just having a catch up.
That's the best way though, isn't it?
Just in case, you know, whatever stays in, stays in. I mean, I did want to bring up just like, so my uncle actually did Slimming World, and yeah, he so strange. Like he has yo-yoed completely, like literally from like 100 up, 100 down, 100 up, 100 down, and he really enjoys Slimming World, and I still don't understand because I just don't understand like the yo-yoing because, you know, surely that's like affecting it, but I know he's a man. I don't want to stereotype, but he obviously doesn't have like the body issues, he just loves food.
So when he's yo-yoing, sorry if you don't mind me asking, when he's yo-yoing up, is he still on Slimming World, or does he ever take breaks?
He's like over it, so
it?
he's on like a break. So for instance, he went to New Zealand to go see his son, and over those like 2 weeks, I know because my mum was with him, and they were like going out every night to restaurants, you know, really, really enjoying their holiday. But like he gained like 2 stone in those 2 weeks. And it wasn't, you can't say it was a water weight because he was eating like a ton of food every day. And then when he got back, like he went straight back onto Slimming World. But I just, if it's not teaching you the mentality of a healthy lifestyle, then what's the point?
I think that's the thing as well. I think that's what they prey on, is that people always come back because they think it's the only way. And when they're off Slimming World, like, you know, their weight goes up. So I think it's kind of like a vicious cycle that people get themselves into.
Yeah. Whereas like I've lost loads of weight, and like if I, you know, on a low carb diet, if I have carbs again, I may gain a couple of pounds on the scales, but that literally is just water weight, or it may be 1 pound of actual weight. But like since losing the weight, I have never ever gained it back. Even if I come off low carb, I haven't gained it back.
And I think that's about fixing your relationship with food as well. Yeah. You know, for me, like it's been a long struggle, and trying to be like more mindful of what I'm actually putting in. There's been, you know, has been really, really hard. That's what I was saying about like a complete roller coaster. That, you know, you can be looking healthy, and like, I know from our teenage years, like you can be looking really healthy, but be so unhealthy, like in your mind, and just really bad orthorexic tendencies. I know for me, where you're just like trying to be as clean as possible, and you know that there's people out there that are doing Slimming World and just not having any sins all day and are just doing free foods, because that's exactly what I would do.
Yeah, because it makes you feel like you're getting more bang for your buck.
Yeah,
I'd rather have, you know, some chips or potatoes, whatever way you can have potatoes, as opposed to having a chocolate box. I'm going to feel fuller.
I just don't understand like how it works, like just simply putting it out there. I just don't get how it works. Like I just don't understand how you can lose weight on it.
I think you have to have, I think there's like 2 categories. Your diet is like completely out of control and you just eat and eat and eat. I think that's the first one. And I think the second one is like snacking is your main issue, because I think they probably identified that the main reason that people put on weight is because of snacking. And that's probably where this sin thing is coming, because they're like, you know, you can have so many snacks and this is how many, you know, this is how many sins each snack is. I think that's probably how it works. And I think that's why it works for some people, because some people are just like persistent snackers, like, you know, people at work that will just, you know, if there's cake or biscuits or whatever,
Just going for it, yeah,
just straight in, and just like you say, like not mindful. And it all comes down to like not being mindful, but this then, you know, can potentially trick them into being a bit more mindful. And I think that's how it works for some, because like we can't argue that it does work for some people. How
Definitely.
it maintains and maintains, we're not sure, but you know what I mean, like the process of this works for some people, and obviously their marketing is so good because, you know, they put all of those cases out there, all these people it worked for.
Yeah, 100%, because like we can't deny it does work for some people, like, and like Weight Watchers, all of them, Slim Fast, they all work for people. It's just, I think it's just finding what works for you as a person, really. But I think it's finding something that you can stick to as a lifestyle, rather than just something to just like quickly lose the weight and then come off it. I think weight loss isn't just a temporary thing. It isn't just something to lose like a stone and then you just don't think about it ever again. I think personally weight loss is something for life. It's more of a lifestyle.
I mean, I think any diet can work, but it's how you choose to approach it. And I personally wouldn't choose a diet, and obviously, like, I know that Slimming World has worked for people, but I wouldn't choose a diet that relies on excessive glucose spikes, because you have that, and then you have the insulin that comes along with it, and that will be storing fat regardless of how many calories you're eating. If you're eating like a ton of pasta, like your body just, it's not going to appreciate that.
100%. There's another diet as well, and I know this is slightly off topic, but have you heard of the 1-to-1 diet or the Cambridge diet?
I had a Cambridge diet, but not about it.
It's scary. Like, this might be for another show, but like literally, and like I said, I don't know the ins and outs, but basically they will send you packets of food, and it's basically dehydrated pasta or like cottage pie or whatever, and you basically put it into a pan with some water and cook it up. So, but in your first phase, you're literally eating 500 calories a day. Like, they are basically starving you until they're like massive weight loss, and then they kind of put you into keto that way. And then the next stage, like you gain a little, you're allowed a few more calories, so you can have like another packet of food and maybe a few snacks. And I saw it, and I actually like spoke to one of the consultants, and he just blocked me in the end, because I wasn't even being a dick, and I was just like, it looks like you lose so much muscle, and it looks like, and I like, just out of curiosity, like, it feels like people are starving, like this is literally starving people, eating so few calories. And he was just so aggressive, and just didn't want to know. But
it's because they're defensive of their career, basically. It's the same with all of them, you know.
100%. But I was just like, it just shocked me. But yeah, it'll be worth like having a look at that and maybe talking about that one another time. But that one, like, I'm really against.
I mean, has anyone got anything else to add? I mean, I know we've had a bit of a rant about
Doesn't it feel good?
It does. It does.